G'day, listeners. This episode is proudly brought to you by our sponsors, supshq.com.au. Use BWB15 at checkout to receive 15% off and direct shipping. G'day, listeners, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of Bros with Brains. I don't know what number we're at anymore, but it's all of them because we're killing it.
What are we up to? Let's find out.
I don't even know. It's like 54, 3? A few weeks after the big one, so I'm going to say it's like 53, maybe.
So, my phone has decided to go all the way back to episode 1. Near 50. This will be episode 54.
Hey, there we go. I'm math good. Quick math.
I'm math good.
Me good math 2 plus 2. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in for another fantastic episode in our march to the next 50. How are we, good sir? What's happening? What's new? Who you pissed off this week?
Look, it's been a good week.
Finally, we've been cancelled by someone. Finally.
Well, I mean, it's not just us that got cancelled. Like these people,
we weren't cancelled.
These guys blocked everyone and everything to do with, I think, myself and a few other things. I was just like, fuck, okay. Like I was saying, the irony of this is the particular person that's blocked everyone, right? She, because we know that she's a she, so I won't name names, had posted something along the lines of, this is like a couple of weeks back, posted something along the lines of, if my posts annoy or irritate or aggravate you, then you have to do some self-reflection. Basically, it's a you problem.
Yeah.
Which is what we were saying last week in the podcast. That's sort of the philosophy of this particular group of female coaches and multi-level marketers. Mm-hmm. Yet she went and blocked everyone. I'm kind of like, isn't this the definition of irony?
Like, I believe that would be hypocrisy at the very least.
Irony like
at a funny level.
Yeah, like really, like. Oh well, yeah, you do you, boo boo. Anyway, funnily enough, like I said, one of the partner was a client of mine and now ex-client of mine, but he wanted to do the admirable thing and support his.
Hey, kudos to him.
But, yeah, I'm not mad at it. Hey man, like I've got no hard feelings. It was not, and like I said to him, it wasn't directed at any one person in particular. Yeah. It just so happened to be that they were all the same.
If the boot fits.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, if you got annoyed, then that's on you.
I see that you did the thing that she did. And
and I'm kind of like, right. Well, if you can't handle the heat, don't play in the fucking fire, sweetie.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm surprised it took all of 53 episodes for us to go through at least this.
Well, the funny thing is, so I lost the client. That was on Saturday, so we released it on Saturday morning, and then Sunday afternoon I picked up another 3. So I'm like, whatever. Something like I was telling you this morning, something's in the water, man. I don't know.
It's a good ratio.
Yeah, like I'll take that if I have to post something that pisses one person off and they leave.
3 more.
But it gives me 3. Oh man, sorry. Who's next? I'm going to go through my client list and piss everyone off. Josh, I'm looking at you, bro. No,
you're done, mate. You're out. The funniest part is like nothing we talk about is unaligned with our values or how we coach anyway. So it's like realistically, if something we've said is not aligned with you, it's probably like, well, you haven't looked at us as people in general, because the way we coach is on this podcast for 54 episodes. So it's not like you're like surprised by how we are or what we say or what we do. It's kind of, it's out there. It's kind of, you're free to listen to it. I encourage it.
And you're more than welcome. Oh, give me 1 second. I'm going to pause this. Sorry about that minor interruption, people. Just decided to get a business call from my business partner trying to tell me what's going on in the gym. But anyway, apparently one of the TVs isn't working. Like, cool. I got to go into tonight's shift and have 1 less TV. It's like, we've got 4 others. It's fine. First world problems.
Not a big deal.
No. So anyway, these people and lack of alignment in their goals, and they have their own issues. It's kind of like,
Yeah, pretty much. Like it's, I mean, to be fair, this a person who stepped away doesn't really come across as the type of you client anyway, to be honest. Like it's actually surprising to me that he was on board with you in the first place.
I think it was one of those, I want to try be a you client.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think, like, young, also was a young coach developing, wanting to learn some stuff. So, you
Yeah.
know what? At the end of the day, it is what it is. These
Yeah.
things happen.
Sure.
Good on you. Stick to your morals. You do you, boo
Yeah,
boo.
for sure. At the same time, you're going to stick to your morals. That's like obviously we're entitled to do the same, right?
Yeah,
Like
I'm
we're not
still
going
I'm still
to.
gonna say what is happening and what
Yeah.
we spoke about is still a fucking joke. But
Yeah.
anyway.
That's like it. Like it is beyond character for us to have to go back and apologize for something said in an
Oh,
episode.
fuck no, I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Exactly.
Seriously, many
Exactly.
people message me after the actual promo clip and like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I know. Just no one else wants to talk about it. So I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like, well, fuck you. I'll just say something
That's
about
why
it.
our podcast exists. We will
Yeah,
talk about it.
yeah, 100%. Like, anyway, the real question is, how are you? Because we saw some sexy photos the other night. And the other night being last night. So today's Wednesday, it was Tuesday night. Just, when this comes out on Saturday, as per usual.
Yes.
Some
Yes.
pretty much nude photos going on right there.
Yeah,
So
close enough.
I guess prep's going okay.
Yeah, prep's going good. Looking objectively at the data, I know I get my own head and I want to suffer more and stuff. And like we talked about, I'm in a position where I do have the room to suffer more, but at the same time, it's like things are ticking over. It's just it's so different to the last three times I've really aggressively dug into a cut that I potentially don't have to suffer harder. I can suffer smarter, and obviously reap those benefits of having available fuel for training, adjusting training protocols when we need to. We're in a deload this week, and weight's actually going down. So, all those factors that just make it a good position. So this will be our last deload before the big final push. Queensland's now 9.4 days, 4 weeks away, which makes nationals 11.4. So I mean, yeah, overall, like the photos you saw that you would have seen by the time this is out, you would have seen on it's like Tuesday night. It was relatively an 8 week gap between the two. Looking at, I've still got 9.4 to go, and I literally halved body fat in that time. So, yeah, things worked, and at that point too, like doses were lower, things were lower, output was lower. So to have those rapid changes was definitely worth it at the front end. And now it's just all about, I guess, just continuing to tick it over and do the same shit. So, last probably I've said it, I've said like a non-negotiable for myself. Like I'm just gonna do 3 strolls into the city every day. So regardless of step count, like that usually takes me up to like 12,000 plus like steps at the gym.
Yeah.
This week being a deload, we're just also doing some extra bike work before training just to get things moving and just chill out, do some light cardio. It's like a 80, 90 beats per minute type stuff, like nothing crazy, just some output. So I'm not sitting down doing nothing all day. Implementing like half-hour daytime naps, which is getting me back up from my feet for like afternoon clients, check-ins, videos, content, all sort of stuff. So kind of break my day up into two, get everything out of the way, training, business, and admin wise in the morning, then client work, check-ins, training, content, writing content, all sort of stuff in the other. So yeah, it seems to be a decent system that I have no doubt I can sustain for another 3 months. So,
Yeah.
like we've talked about before, it's just sort of getting the systems in place early on that I could sustain them. And then, I've had talks with some of my clients that probably the 2 weeks between nationals and states, I'll just have their plans ready to go before it comes and just take 2 weeks off because I haven't had a break in like,
Yeah.
fucking 4 years.
Mhm.
And then I think 2 weeks before that, I might just move everyone to Loom videos and just do our feedback that way, which I know is something that you do. I like to be a lot more direct with a lot of my newer clients just to make sure that mentally and stuff are in the right game. So I'll just probably move that to that 2 weeks before states, I might just move everyone to Loom videos for that period of time. So it really gives me that month to kind of just chill out, de-stress, play some more Pokemon, put my feet up, relax. So I've kind of got it all in place. We're just gonna adjust some training markers. I was gonna run that by you today anyway, but at the same time, like it's not a big deal, it's not a secret. With the way that recovery and stuff starting to go, we're probably gonna pull out like those heavy intensifier sets on hack squats and stuff now and just move into more like a full stretch position leg press or like a Bulgarian squat or something like that instead. Just do some more stability work, get some intensity out of it without as much fatigue. Because it's weird. It's a weird position. Like my strength, Tom's strength has just been stupidly increasing, but it's just the niggles are there.
Yeah,
So
of
it's
course,
like,
which is going to happen.
yeah. So it's like we're getting to that point where the recovery capacity may be trumping the training capacity.
Yeah,
So
which
I
is
enjoy that. Like, we love training fucking hard, right? Like the fun of it is going in and just fucking those numbers up from the week before. Which if I go back to the start of my prep numbers, I had like my hack was like 150 or 140, whatever it was. Yes, we're doing the metabolic, like more metabolic increasing, but at the same time, like 140. And at this point, my top set was 220, 240 with a back off of 180. So it's like that incremental growth in prep has been stupid. But
we know that the recovery capacity is going to drop, and that's indicative of, guess what, an energy deficit.
Yes, correct. So we knew it was coming. We wanted to finish out the block on top, and really, like last week was fucking huge. Hacks are at 140, and I pulled a pendulum at 100 for what did I get? 10. Tom got like 120 on pendulum for 9. Like stupid numbers. There's be a few like the next block. Next meso will relatively keep similar, but just adjust a few exercise selections and rep targets.
I mean, we can always brainstorm it on the podcast. I wonder if people would actually be interested in listening to how to tackle, I guess, that particular conundrum in a prep. I mean, I think from what I've seen most people do, I know myself, especially in dieting, not that I've dieted down to the extreme of a show, so don't get me wrong, but I mean, I've dieted down to sub, 10%. I think I've been 7 or 8. So the way I like to do it when it gets to that nitty gritty where recovery does start to get very scattered, where we still need to push volume.
Yes.
I really like the idea of like a 2 to 3 RIR for those last 8 to 10 weeks into a comp, I think, where we're still getting sufficient volume into the quads or into the, I guess, any body part, we'll call it, still closing to a relative proximity to failure. So that sort of 2 to 3, probably 3 would be ideal, just purely from a recovery standpoint. Much easier, obviously, to recover from a 3 RIR versus a 2 RIR. And you're still close enough to failure where you may not be stimulating any growth, don't get me wrong, because of obviously being in the energy deficit. However, you're still definitely maintaining current tissue, and that's kind of the goal of that.
That's relatively, especially being enhanced, right? That's what we're trying to achieve.
It's kind of the goal, right? To keep tissue, as much contractile tissue as possible. So that's how I'd actually tackle it. So I wouldn't necessarily change exercise unless they really need to, if they're giving you, a ton of grief. However, I think moving it to a 3 RIR, literally, and then seeing how you recover from that.
I think that's where the problem is going to be, in that the love of being under the weight will prevent us from wanting to be at a 2 to 3. Like when you got the capacity to train at a 0 RER and the plate shouldn't be moving kind of thing on a hack or pendulum. And then it's like, I finished this off knowing I've got 3 in the tank. It's
the other option is you go to failure and you just do it once a week. You take out the second sessions. The double ups. So you do have the option there to go to failure, because you're going to give yourself a better chance to recover by simply removing that second session, that second lower compound, and, so on and so forth. So that's how I tackle it.
That was going to be my thought process initially anyway, sort of like alleviate, back off the intensity to a degree, and just look at like working in more extended rep ranges to still get that training volume out, still get that training intensity where it's like you're close to failure, but it's not that heavy load on the joints from like, the 6 to 8s, 8 to 12s. It's more like you might be the 10 to 15.
Well, you wouldn't even, I mean, really, in theory, you wouldn't even need to change the rep ranges. You wouldn't have to change the entire program. You could literally run the same program again and then literally just run everything to a 3 RIR. And you're still going to get, enough out of it, I think, for the next sort of 8 to 10 weeks. And then that would probably alleviate some of the inflammation and stuff as well, because you're not causing such physiological stress from going to failure so often. Because, we do have the 2 camps in the training world that will tell you that you don't need to train to failure, because if you train to 2 RIR, you're going to get the same benefits as training to failure without all the recovery capacity, without the recovery issues. And it's like, yeah, cool, but also you're a little bitch, train to failure.
Yeah.
However,
that's where the modifier problem, right, is that how many people actually know their proximity?
We know that no one really knows failure. Truly, let's be real. But we do also know that we can use that idea to our benefit by simply saying, okay, well, all these circumstances around us in our environment requires us to recover. How do we do that with keeping enough effort in our training sessions to maintain at least maintain tissue. That's sort of the goal, right? Well, let's train as close to failure as possible, with knowing that the closer we get to failure, the worse our recovery is going to be. But the closer we get to failure, the better our tissue retention is going to be. So what's that sort of sweet spot? And I'm going to go 2 to 3 RIR, probably 3 for enhanced. If you weren't enhanced, I'd probably say 2.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. And obviously having enough protein and sleep and blah 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 blah, all that shit. Buy the matter book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, but yeah, that's like that was kind of where my head was going there. And then you're probably looking at like the last 2 to 4 weeks where it'd be more like depletion volume per se. You're not looking to try and grow stimulus. You're trying to literally deplete glycogen and deplete fat, right? So you start moving the program a little bit more towards that. Those last probably 2 to 4 weeks to just drive everything out, get intensity up, intensity through more like high intensity training styles as opposed to like looking at our usual like 6 to 8, 8 to 12, like those sort of targets. But there's next probably like we've still got like two blocks of capable training there where it's like we can still get in some decent training for another 8 weeks.
We can start to use set intensifiers and stuff like that, where we use like rest pause and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly right. Especially in things like arms and like single leg extension type stuff, where it's rather than blowing up further exacerbation of a whole working joint.
Yeah, single joint movements are always nice to do. I think rest pauses and stuff like that too. Compounds, not necessarily. I wouldn't bother because they're the ones you're trying to recover the most from.
Yeah, I think like stuff like that where we're just really trying to etch in and drive out the rest of that back end of the quad and stuff like that, where it's time to really drive out the detail. Things like intensifiers and that, just to keep that intensity and that output nice and high without so much fatigue being high. I'd say we'll probably move towards that direction as well. And it's just fun. Like it's fun every once in a while, just have that block in training, in prep where you're not going to get PBs. So it's at least fun to get some fucking sick pumps and try and maximize your higher carb days and stuff like that. Relatively like even foods come like I've because of changing a few meat sources and stuff like that, I just dropped carbs a little bit because fats went a little bit higher because I'm really only doing trace fat. So I just find better on that. But it's like carbs down to like 175 a day, fats relatively hitting 13 to 15, and protein still at 225. So it's working well. 2 high days is still like just sub 800 carb, which is crazy for me at this far out at this condition to have 2 of those days a week. At the relative potential to disperse it if I need to get fuel back up and keep training intensity high. But I mean, I'm still I go to bed full, I wake up full, train hard. And then I've had 1 meal today post workout, which was, I think I put up on Instagram, which was like just a shit ton of veg, egg whites and kangaroo steak. So just getting some red meats back in and stuff like that, enjoying that. And relatively the high days, man, I'm just enjoying, like, I'm trying to take the time to be mindful with my food and actually enjoy it. And really try and like take note of the fact that at this point in prep, I've never been here before, where I can have single digit body fat and be enjoying things like bao, stir fried dishes, fucking fried rices, or panned rice dishes. It's definitely not fried.
I'm getting Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah. KFC during prep, going fully priest with it.
And I'm going to lick it, and that's it.
And, just to be in that position. So I'm really trying to enjoy that food because I still like to, I know like we like to keep things simple, but at the same time, I like to make simple good. If I'm going to do simple, I want to be good. So now that I work from home and I've got everything at home, I like to take the time to make sure that it's got seasonings, flavors, chilies, sauces, like whatever I can that's in those low calorie ranges. It isn't going to cost a lot of calories. I enjoy it. So when it comes to those high days, I'm like, I suffer fucking 5 days at 175 carbs. If you say you can't train hard on low carbs, shut up. So to actually have those 2 high days there where it's like, realistically, if I wanted to, I could pull high days down and like that would be my driving fat loss phase. So take 100 carbs off each day, I'll lose another 800 calories in the week on top of what I'm already doing. So there's always that potential there. And I'll still get a lot of carbs to enjoy in those 2 days. So, there's still plenty of room. I get in my own head and I want to suffer more and I want to do more, but it's like, when I look at the bigger picture, there's still 11 weeks to go. And what I did in 8 weeks, I've still got 11 weeks to do better.
Yeah, that's when you message me and be like, what if I do this? No. What if I do that? No. What if I do this? No. Okay, cool.
They're just explorative questions.
It's like, cool. Have a good day.
And shut the fuck up.
Yeah. No. All right, cool.
Can I take 4 grams of training? Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Can I pull my food down? No.
Yeah, no, it's just yeah, like I mean, dude, even again, it's not a humble brag. It's not a brag at all. Or anything really. It's just like it's just a proud moment for me. Like I managed to finish an entire credentials course during prep. I definitely didn't have the capacity to do last time. So I'm now certified in anxiety and depression treatment in a realm of psychology, or therapy. I'm also the course is getting done. We ran our first. Oh, that's right. We ran our first sleep seminar Saturday night, which was some pretty awesome feedback. Like I think it was like 8, 10 people turned up on their Saturday night, afternoon, evening, 6:30, 5:30.
Whatever that is in the day.
Whatever that point is in the day.
Yeah.
10 people decided to give up their Saturday to learn a bit more about sleep, and from what I heard, it was all positive feedback. They asked for more of these sort of seminars, more of these sort of like interactions. So, yeah, that model will probably go into our course in terms of like sleep science and enhancing and optimizing how important it actually is. So that'll probably go into the course as well, some extra content. And yeah, so overall, it's just like shit's going good. Business is growing during prep, body's growing during prep. It seems weights staying the same as body fat's coming down. Like I've never been in the 94s and dropping down to like rates of 3 meals per week loss. Like it's fucking stupid. So taking the wins where they come until obviously something bad happens and we adjust. But at the same time, it's like that one bad is not worth the 20 other good that's happening. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
We know the bad. We've got plans in place for bad, so it's fine.
exactly right. Well, like having how many to like weapons in the arsenal in case those things happen means that I'm not even stressing. Like I'll stress, but it's like okay, realistically, like that one moment that was bad, I can pull down food this day. I can increase cardio here. I can take
Exactly
this
right.
stuff. Like
Because we
there's
have
so
such a
much to do.
Yeah, because we have such a big buffer of calories over the week, it's so easy to manipulate. So it makes life much easier when you're doing it that way. Again, things are still relative, people. Like, yes, hunger is still there. When
Yeah.
you're eating 7,000 calories a day and you move to 3,000, yes, 3,000 is still a lot, but it's a
Yes.
lot less than 7,000. So
Oh,
guess what? You are still fucking hungry.
yes. Yeah.
Which, yeah,
Like yeah,
is
my
always a
food, like
funny
like
concept.
yeah, like you said, like food this time is relatively higher at this point compared to any other time I've done it. But at the same time, like I'm still hungry. I'm still
Yeah.
noticing the brain fatigue. I'm still noticing the silly choices. I'm still noticing the odd decision I make where I'm like, oh, that was dumb. And I get
Yeah.
like short, a bit snappier at myself. Having to conserve energy to be with clients, having to like get naps in so I'm fueled and energized and actually not wasting my time.
Yeah.
Try to be more efficient in my days in the morning, getting
Yeah.
meals planned out, not wasting, those things where it's like, okay, the deficit's setting in. Like
Yeah, it's just
it's
more from a physiological standpoint. I think for most that are listening, need to understand that the higher calories you can diet down on, the better your physiology is going to be.
yes.
So that's why, even though you're still hungry, even though you're still getting the side effects of a deficit, like brain fog and all that sort of stuff, and irritability and all that, internally things are still functioning very, very well.
Yeah, exactly right.
And it's like subjective or not so, I mean, you could argue subjective versus objective, right? Like physiology is all objective, the way you're feeling is subjective, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah.
um, but from a physiological standpoint, you are very, very like healthy still, like you are
Yeah.
still doing very,
That
very well. So if your maintenance or like if your deficit's at 3,000 calories versus 1,000 calories, like hormonally,
yeah.
biochemically, or biologically,
Micronutritionally, like the diversity of food intake.
everything, yeah, is going to be much harder, and you're going to put yourself at a much more harsh
Yeah.
detriment and real risk of danger the lower you are in calories. So
Especially as enhanced guys, if you can keep like a diverse calorie intake during a prep, it means you've got greater propensity to take in micronutrients, antioxidants, like
yeah,
all that little stuff as well. That also helps just general long term health. That, like you said, we don't have to be as dangerous. It's not as unhealthy per se
yeah,
because you can have some higher degree of food intake and energy
yeah,
availability.
yeah, which is just going to be better for just all around. It's just better, obviously, having more energy and more food. So I guess for those that are probably thinking, well, what's the difference between being on 3,000 calories in a deficit and starving versus 1,000 calories? It's like, well, yeah, from a biology standpoint, physiological standpoint, you are in a much better position on 3,000 calories and hungry versus 1,000 calories
Yeah.
and hungry.
Yeah, and like you said, like you've still got like your pros and stuff, and like when Ian Valier was talking about it when he was doing that just before the Toronto Pro, and he was sort of saying like, yeah, I'm on like X amount of carbs. I think he went into his low days on like 300 carbs, but you got to understand he's a 120 keg bodybuilder, shredded, and he's only having like I think his like lowest low day was like 2,500. And it's like to most women per se, that's like a holy crap, 2,500 is huge. How's he getting that for a low day? And you got to realize like the relative size and musculature difference between people the levels to it that his hunger is still experienced by him. The same way I can't tell you about your subjective experiences in life. You can't equate your hunger to someone else's based on their calories, right? So, like, yeah, Tom is still going to be hungry. I'm still going to be hungry. We're still trying, like, there's still, yes, there's more available fuel in terms of available glucose because of higher carbs to train, which is why I take away from fats, because realistically, I don't need them that badly when it comes at this point in prep. I'm not worried about fat health. I'm worried about glucose, carbs, fuel to train, recovery. So in that aspect, it's like, I don't really care being on low fats for a little while. I put them back in after prep and make sure I'm taking fish oil and stuff like that. But overall, that relative hunger is still experienced. It's just, less intense because it's like what I am feeling with is about training. And that's all we're focusing on for the next 8 to 10 weeks is, well, is there adequate fuel? Is there enough fuel to get out some training? Is that carbs are we getting the right food into fuel training and then driving fat loss elsewhere? That's really all we're trying to do, right?
Yep, exactly right. Now, I believe something has pissed you off for a change this week.
So, all right, let's dive in.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay.
Crackety crack. I guess how to phrase it in a constructive way.
Well, let's acknowledge the good.
Okay, yeah, let's acknowledge the good first. Okay, so the realm of being a social influencer, right, or a fitness-based social influencer, it implies that you have a standing or following within a social platform that presents a potential to influence people's opinions, their thoughts, how they do things. But it comes with the idea that those are following you for the reason, the alignment of the content you put out, the things that you share or do or say or what have you. So essentially, the projected identity, to not get too technical in psychological terms, the projected identity that you place on that platform becomes who you are, or kind of how you identify on that platform, and it's sort of the appearance you have to keep, right, to keep those followers and grow that following. That's kind of how
which is what we know social media basically is. Yes,
which is pretty much social media to anyone who's nailed social media is kind of what they do, what they are on there.
What you see isn't who they are.
Yeah, especially when you have, like, you're in their, say, close friends list, or you're in the behind the scenes friends list, and you can kind of see, like, oh, you posted this, but I see you doing this.
Yeah.
Those sort of people. So again, there are a lot of good ones. There are a lot of people who put out some good stuff. At the same time, there's far many, like, a lot worse ones. There's a particular British, now Australian fitness seminar hoster. Well, I don't even know what he claims to be. He's a PT, really, and he'll talk on it all the time, and he'll make statements in the fitness game, and then you'll hear him talk about things like having a mad bender and like going out with the lads. And realistically, what he's doing is validating and finding a means to justify the fact that he bended and couldn't consist to a training program or a diet or a particular style of living, and try to rationalize to his followers that having a bender and weeks away at a time of getting absolutely wrecked is perfectly healthy, because you've got to have balance. And in order to validate and justify the identity and perception that he has, he now creates those little stigma moments where he can kind of pass the responsibility buck off being still relatively healthy or smarter about his choices, and the fact that he has no real self-control or discipline as an athlete or a trainer per se, and simply validates or finds the need to justify the fact that he's got absolutely ratchet for like 2 weeks straight. We all know that person because I've talked about it many times. But it's starting to tirade into a trend where, because the identity has been created, right, the social narrative has been expressed on the social platform, these people start to get to a point where they're obviously sick of it. They're obviously not into it anymore, but maybe not into it, but they need breaks from the lie that they're telling, or they need breaks from the persona they've created. And so they will do things like holidays, and they'll do international trips, and they'll talk about how they're going to be healthy over there and make these choices. Then they'll come back and be softer, way softer. They'll be like, they've let loose, they've let go, what have you. They've fallen off the wagon. They've just basically not done any of the micro box ticks that we like to aim for when someone goes on holiday and sort of says, look, if you're going to be...
Yeah, but and it's on the flip side to that, it's okay. It's like you're on holiday.
Yes, exactly. Like,
if you choose not to do what you've been doing for, probably a big chunk of your life, that's okay. Like, that's almost like a deload. Don't stress.
That's perfectly fine. It's the problem to me when you start to find the need to validate and justify yourself, and then sort of like turn the tone on the language that you use already, or like the message that you're sending to your followers or to the platform you have. You're essentially brushing the narrative that you're trying to create. You're this hard trainer, or you live this way, or this is what you do. But then when you decide to have that break, instead of just simply saying, look, I just took time off, got absolutely rat shit, or just like, did this and took time off, didn't even train, didn't care about it. You've got to put up this weird validating or validation seeking content that is clearly just a fish trap to get likes and reacts and be like, oh no, you still look great. Like, if that's you looking bad, good for you. Like, you look great, whatever. No, sorry, no. You push, like, you'll see all the time, like, especially from this type of fitness influencer, you'll see things like, non-negotiables or box ticks that we just aim for on a holiday, like X protein, X veg, do this, move this many times, just get your steps in, train twice to 3 hours a week. Then they'll come back and the story content or the post content is simply, I didn't do any of that, got rat shit on benders, my close friends list. You can clearly see that I'm doing all sorts of substances. And it's like, what? It's frustrating because to me, it's very clear then that the person that you are projecting and the person that you want to be or the person that you are not in line, are two very different people. And it's very clear then that your social identity is not
your real
not who
identity.
you are, but it's
No,
less of who you claim to be.
Yeah, it's almost like your social identity is like who you want to be, and your real identity
Yeah.
is who you are. Like, in a
Yeah.
sense, yeah, it's like your projected social self. You're like, oh, that's who I want to be. Like, that's who I aim to be. But who I
Yeah.
am behind closed doors is not that. And it's kind of like, bro, if you're a coach too, I feel like people will pick up on it.
Oh, for
I
sure.
feel like people will know. People will be like, okay, like, that's not who you are. And it's funny, again, anecdotally, like years and years ago, when social media coaching became a thing. So, pre-COVID, when online coaching became a thing, I got very lucky and pretty much jumped in the online space around then. So been online coaching for a while.
Yep.
And doing a lot of powerlifting based coaching way back at the start. And then and when I used to post, even now these days, it's really either educational content, training content, or training content. So whether it be myself or whether it be my clients, I don't really post anything. There's no real personal. Like, I came to Brisbane, I don't think I really posted anything unless we were doing something.
Yeah.
Like,
Play golf.
yeah, well, yes. I didn't even post that. I went to Dubai. Like, I didn't post anything when I was in Dubai.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, like, at all.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I took a ton of photos. I got photos all left, right, and center, but like, I didn't post because that's not me. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, that's not my Instagram personality. That's not my page. Like, my page is business and for clientele. You don't need to see me doing like I don't need to post, like, again, I was fortunate enough to fly business class. Like, I don't need to post that I'm in business class. Like,
yeah, fuck, man.
yeah, like, people, yeah,
Oh.
I know. Posting that they're in first class, it's kind of like, bro, like, cool. Like, no one cares. Like, no one cares. Like, it looks cool. Like, I'm glad you're having a great time. No one gives a fuck. Like, like, that's to you. Like, that's your thing. You go do that. Post the shit that your potential clients want to see. And if you're trying to mix your social media accounts and being like a personal one as well as a business one, you're going to find that having two different people or two different personalities in the same page are going to clash.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets really, really messy and really, really tricky. And I think that's why people create their close friends list a lot of the time.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said, like, maybe the close friends list is really them, and then outside the close friends list is kind of like that. This is who I want you to see.
Yeah.
Like, this is
exactly. Yeah.
This is the person I want you to see, but that's not who I am here.
Yeah,
but
that's not really the true self in reflection. It's more so a display image, or like a projection of self that you would like it to be, or perhaps you try to use to sell. And like, this persona is how I get. It's kind of like a wrestler's ego persona on in the ring, right? Like, the Undertaker isn't actually putting people in tombstones in fucking, like, in caskets and burying them alive. That's not really what they're doing.
Just casually walk up to someone in Kmart, like, yeah, pole driver, just pole driver, fuck it.
But there's a story behind it, why they're doing it, obviously, and they're trying to create a narrative. That is, in essence, how the part of the McAdams 3-layer model of self-narrative creation exists. Now, that to me, it gets me frustrated, because you'll see to client, like, I'm not even sure where the true frustration lies, because I don't care that you're doing it. I don't care that you're going on these trips. I don't care. Like, but if you're sprouting a message of one thing and talking about how it's, about training, and if I wanted to be serious, I could be, and this is how I like. You've dedicated your life to something only to half pull the pin and then half be like 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, telling your followers that it's perfectly okay to do this when you decide to do it.
Yeah,
but
it's
then
mixed messages.
Yeah, exactly right. Mixed messages. It's frustrating because then those clients are seeing that and being like, well, why can't I do that? Or is
Mm.
this really how you do it? Or like, it's perfectly
Well,
okay to go on these holidays. Like it is, again, perfectly okay to go on these
yeah,
holidays and do that. However, if you have goals, if you have things that require
yeah,
adherence, if you have things that require box ticks as well, you're on holidays or breaks or deloads, then simply going and smashing benders, and that's what they are really. You're
yeah,
justifying a binge or bender. It's no different than someone who's on a diet has a cheat day and uses that to justify eating 20,000
yeah,
calories on a Sunday.
yeah,
It's relatively the same concept. You're just validating a poor understanding or a poor behavior choice,
yeah,
and then you're using that to validate yourself. Oh, I was gonna go over there and have this sort of like train holiday and be active, but you know what? My body still needed a break, and so I got on a bender for 2 weeks. It's like
yeah.
that's no,
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's like, obviously, if you are a coach, don't expect your clients to do the things that you would do, if that makes sense. It's like,
yeah,
if you're not going to go, if you're going to go on a holiday and you're not going to do anything, and your client's going to go on a holiday, then maybe if they turn around and say, I didn't do anything, and you're like, well, why? It's like, well, because you didn't do anything as a coach. Like when you went away and you showed
yeah,
that, like everyone saw that. Like, communicate with your coach. And if you are a coach, obviously just making sure that, you do lead by example. So it's like, don't get me wrong, we've all done it. Like, I've gone on holidays where I've trained. Fucking oath. I went to
yeah,
Thailand like 3 or 4 years ago, man. I trained every day. Are you serious? I got
yeah,
mad, like, you're in Thailand in the heat. Like, you're gonna get
yeah,
mad pumps, obviously mad photos and angles with mad lighting. Like, it's how it works. Like, let's be
exactly.
real. Like, it's the only reason why you go to Thailand. But then I've had holidays where I went to Brisbane. I think I trained twice with you, maybe. Like, that was
Yeah,
really it. Like,
I think one of the sessions you literally just came, like you didn't
yeah, like
like
I didn't train.
like
Like, but the thing is, I'd informed my coach. I told him, I'm
yeah,
like, I'm going to Brisbane. I'm probably not going to train too much. I'm like, I went to Dubai. I'm not going to be able to train too much. I'm crazy busy at work. I got a staff member away on, 3 weeks leave. I'm working way more than I usually would.
yep,
I'm probably not going to get, as a priority right now, training isn't that high on my priority list. I got
yeah,
shit to do. But guess what? Come the end of August, I'm going casual. I'm going to be training again. So it's like, there's communication in there. And my coach is like,
yes,
sweet, sweet. We're just going to plan for this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. This is how we're going to manipulate. And, nothing really changes. Body comp hasn't changed.
mm-hmm,
The actual body weight hasn't changed.
yep,
It's because we've got things in place. And it's
mm-hmm,
like, my coach doesn't expect me to like not do anything if I haven't told him. Like, I tell him, I'm like, hey, bro, like, I've got this coming up. We need
yep,
to do this. We got this coming up. We got to do this. He went to Thailand. He didn't train for 2 weeks. It's like, bro, this dude's got like 50 or some, I don't even know how many thousands of followers. He's got IFBB pros coming out of his asshole.
yeah,
Like, and he didn't train for 2 weeks or whatever it was. So it's like, it's okay. You don't have to train, but
yeah.
don't say that you, yeah,
That's the thing. It's
just
perfectly
don't,
okay.
just
Just
don't say
like
you are, and then, validate why you didn't. I'm like,
yeah,
no
exactly.
one, no one cares.
Like don't feel the need to project the message and act like a hero and act like you're the bee's knees because you've done whatever holiday you've taken this time off and like this is what I'm going to do and like this is how a real person does XYZ, only to go and then display the exact opposite of those behaviors and then find the need to validate and justify it.
Yeah,
It's on par with that person whom I had a social media discussion with regarding being fat before comp, choosing to compete, then bouncing out and being fat afterwards, and then saying that competing made you have a bad relationship with food. Like, I just don't think you had the right, like the narrative you wanted to create, the person you wanted to be, and who you actually are because you hadn't built those behaviors. I don't think they align.
yeah,
And I think that's yeah, it just gets to a point where you're just essentially misleading your followers, you're misleading the following, the message is unclear, but the people who will see that part of you will be like, oh, well, he did it, so it's perfectly okay. And he's just like me because he's doing XYZ and still looks great. Like, no, no. He's trained 9 times out of 10 of the year,
yeah,
but he's also on the close friends list doing all these other things that you're not seeing.
yeah,
And it's like, yeah, you saw that one little like he said it's okay to go on a holiday and chill out. That chill out was a bender and it
yeah,
was like a proper hit out at it. Like it's not like it was a 2 beers and a water. It was like this
yeah,
said person or ex person or whoever that type of influencer will be. You know damn well on that close friends list that it's not going to be just oh, it was a beer and a water and a Pepsi Max. It
yeah,
was gear, 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 beers, beers, beers. And it's
yeah,
like there's more to this, and it's like you're validating then the behavior after the fact.
yeah. And it's like, as a social media, well, I mean, you're trying to be a coach, right? And then I guess the term social media influencer might be attached based on how many followers you have or some shit, whatever, however you want to justify it, or sort of divide between the two. But it's like, if you're going to do social media, let's use Instagram as the example. If you're going to have Instagram and Instagram's your main form of content, your main form of getting education out and
Mhm.
trying to pull leads in and trying to be that coach, that's what it needs to show. Like,
Yeah.
there's no mixed messages. It's like it's pretty, stock standard. Down the line, everyone knows what you're about, what you do, and why you're on here, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. If you want to have that whole personal style Instagram, that's fine. Just open another account.
Yeah.
Just do a personal account. You can open it. You can make it you can make it private. You can do whatever you want, and you can post whatever the fuck you want on there. Like, no one
Yeah.
cares, because you know what? It's your private Instagram or it's your personal Instagram, and it's like, cool. That way, people can be like, okay, so this is what his coaching's about.
Yeah.
And this is what he's about. Okay, they're
Yeah.
two separate. I get it. Not having them mixed on the same page, because it's just going to be
Yeah.
too messy, too weird to pick out. Because as humans, we're pretty simple people, pretty simple
Yeah.
creatures. Like,
And if it gets to a point where you can see that, you're like, what gets a point? If there's two people on the same account, like let's say you've been two people, the ones who can see both will then start to almost perceive you as that kind of person, right? Like you're well, to me personally, I find it morally questionable.
yeah,
And the fact is then that what you're projecting and what you actually are two different people, which
yeah,
means I don't trust you.
yeah,
And like
exactly right. And
I
it's
don't
like,
trust your word, I don't trust your content, I don't trust who you are, I don't trust that I want to see your stuff, because the message that I see beyond what other people see, or like what the general person might get from the odd content from you versus the whole thing, if you've been around for a while, you start to see it and you're like, well, you're just full of shit.
yeah, and it's like, I can understand people wanting to post. I guess there is this thing in like social media marketing where posting your personal stuff on your business page every now and then isn't a bad thing, because like people can
Yeah,
get
it's
an
like
insight
behind the
into you.
scenes, and it's
Yeah,
yeah,
people get an insight into you and you as a person,
yeah,
100%. But I think you really need to choose what you put on, and doing nose beers is probably not one of them.
yeah,
Just for those coaches out there, maybe don't post that.
yeah. Maybe
just
give that to
just
yourself.
just a heads up. But it's like, usually as well, if you're living the lifestyle that you post in your educational or your in your educational post and your normal post for your business account, then your behind the scenes stuff is going to be pretty much aligned to that anyway.
Right?
And it's like I know I never really posted personal stuff, and I still really don't. Like, I don't like to. I hate social media, to be honest. It's not my
Yeah,
thing. But it's like, I know if I post me doing something stupid with a protein shake, people are going to be like, that's hilarious because I've done it before. Or like fairy bread as pre-workout. I've posted that before. Everyone
yeah,
pissed themselves laughing, and it got a great reaction. But it still had to do with training. It's like,
yeah,
it
yeah,
still
yeah,
had to do with the educational stuff that I do. It's like, you can eat bread before you train. Like, you know what
yeah,
I mean? Like, oh, I did a double scoop protein shake. Like, yeah, because it was for training. Like, it aligns with what I'm doing. Like,
yeah,
it's all education and training. It's all
yes,
health and fitness. Protein and bread aligns with health and fitness and training. So it's like, it's all the same. So it's just like, if you're going to show, but that wasn't for show. Like, that's literally what I do. Like, you've seen
yeah,
me,
exactly right. And
like you've seen my
authentic,
pre-workout.
yeah, that authenticity comes out there, right? Like people are, although we can be pretty stupid, we can also be pretty good at detecting bullshit when you're actually like, I guess, exposed or proposed, uh, exposed to it. We can really start to see like, someone who's not genuine about what they're saying or doing. Like, it's pretty easy to come across and pick up on. Like, you know, like myself, you're going to find on my page, whether it's got 2,000 followers or it's got fucking 20,000 followers, you're going to find that I'm going to talk about training. I'm going to talk about psychology. I'm going to tell the truth on a lot of shit. And you're probably going to get some nerd posts every once in a while because, well, I'm a giant ass nerd and I don't hide it. It's not a surprise. So what you see behind the scenes, when I do behind the scenes content, when I do weekly updates on the YouTube channel, when I do all that stuff, it's going to relatively reflect the same thing. It's just you might get a more in-depth or personal explanation for it, like meals in prep and what, because I don't really like to do the whole like full day of eating, see what's on
Yeah.
my plate. But if it's a high day and something interesting, or like a low day and I'm making a diet more exciting, like hearing people message me and say, oh, that looks really good, I didn't know I could do that, it's kind of motivating for me. At the same time, helps someone understand that you can, diet and enjoy food and go do life.
Yeah.
But it's not like hey, I'm in prep, I'm talking about being adherent, being strict, being a one percenter. Then also here's pingers on the weekend and me doing nose beers. It's like the two, you're not going to get that on my page.
Yeah. It's like, literally the perfect example. I'm contemplating if I want to open another Instagram account, because I haven't got enough of those already.
Dick
Let's be
pics.
real. Yeah, 100%. Just, OnlyFans. No. If I want to do like my golfing journey, because I'm really
Yeah.
like into my golf, but I'm not going to post it on my elite strength page. Like,
Yeah.
I could probably get away with it, to be honest, because I think
It
people
fits you though. It fits
but I think
you.
I think people would just get a laugh out of it.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like a more dedicated page to like, my journey to get my handicap basically to zero, because that's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to do. Right.
Yeah.
And how long that takes. So I go play golf every second day or every day. So it's kind of like, well, I can take a recording like a 30 seconds every day and be like, oh yeah, I'll just post it. You know what I mean? And but that's separate to what I do here on Elite Strength. Like Elite Strength is my clients, it's me, my education, that form of my training. So it's not like that I'm lying, but I've created a separate account and separated them because they're going to be two different audiences.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the people that do strength training, go to the gym and get jacked and take steroids are probably not going to care about
Oh, he's got a par 3?
Yeah, me playing golf. They're going to be like, shit, he's got a par 3 and he pulled out a driver. Man, that's ballsy. Like, yeah, fuck oath that is, because that's how I play. No, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, it's going to be relative as well. So it's like what you're posting has to be appealing to the audience that you have, because that's what's going to generate your next audience. But anyway, we can talk about a whole social media marketing thing. Yes, I completely agree. People are fucking stupid, and that's how we go with that when it comes to social media.
But the I guess the final word, the part that frustrates me most is the fact that it's validated, and the people that see it believe that's how they actually live, or that that's true, that's what they do, and it's like, no, it's not. Like, you've got some poor relationships there with lifestyle. They're preaching being committed or being dedicated or having this life like set up and the non-negotiables and the box ticks and like just cover this and you'll be fine. Then go and like justify balance as benders and weekends on absolute gear and drinks and like getting shit faced, offsetting most of the work they've done, if not all of it, and then trying to validate that with pity party social media responses. It's like, well, that person then starts to see the following you have, starts to see that, well, you did all this training and you can do this and you've done these things, so I guess I can too. And it starts to create this weird persona of what's actually possible or what actually can be done, in amongst the fact that you're just lying and it's like you're full of shit. And that's not really what, like, you're just seeking validation for the fact that you didn't train on while you're away, or where you were, or what you did, or you did the exact opposite and just went and like hammered gear or drinks, party, didn't sleep, didn't do any of the things that you preach. And then to offset that, you go into there, try and counteract it with, well, balance, because I have to enjoy myself, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
No, you know it's fine. It's perfectly okay on the holiday to just get steps, hit your veg, hit your protein, drink water, then do the other stuff. In moderation with it, if that's the message you're creating, what you're trying to get clients to do.
Or you just simply don't post anything.
Yeah, right. Like, if you want to be that person, just don't post anything.
Like, if you want to go
story either side, then
if you want to go balls to wall, we blind every fucking day and off your tits, like that's fine. No one's going to judge you on that. We're only going to judge you if you post on social media when you claim to be something else.
Exactly.
Like, it's not complicated.
Nope, not at all.
Anyway, let's do questions.
All right.
Yeah, it's funny to just get to the end of that. Just like, yeah, people are stupid. Like, I just don't understand. I understand. I'm with you.
Yep.
What do we got? All right. We have a very serious question right now.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Strap in. Is cereal considered soup?
It's cold soup, yes.
It's milky soup.
It's a milky soup.
It's only milky soup if you actually use full cream milk. If you use almond milk, oat milk, pea milk, I don't know, what other fucking milks there are.
Milk, fuck you.
Man, yeah, well, then it's not soup.
Such low fats and calories is great.
Oh, man, like, look, you're dieting, I'll allow it, but for fuck's sake, if you had it in growth phase, I will slap you.
Yeah.
Unless you have a stomach issue, then it's okay.
Have a what?
Unless you have a stomach or gut issue due to like milk, then come out. Then it's okay. Then it's, other than that, drink fucking milk, people. There's nothing wrong with real fucking milk.
But then the other side is that you can eat cereal dry. I'm not going to have soup dry.
Yeah, that's fair.
Then just be dry ingredients. But I'm going to have dry.
Then
cereal.
it wouldn't be soup.
Yeah, exactly right.
It'd just be vegetables or
dry
cereal. Meat. Yeah, right. Injectable choline, experiences with it, applications and opinions. I am not very familiar. I've never used injectable choline, so I'm not going to comment on it too much. I do know a lot of people really like it with, I want to say it's NAD, but I could be completely wrong there. Not something I'm into. I just get choline from oral supplement if I need it. Good for cognition and whatnot. I was going to say it's good for cognition and from memory, the mitochondria. Choline?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe it's a Yeah, I'm pretty
Plays a
sure.
role in mitochondrial biogenesis, maybe, or something along those lines. Something nerdy. Yeah, Colin, good for you. Don't know about injecting it. Not my thing.
Yeah, no, I can't say I'm going to do that.
Yeah, no. What's your view on sports doctors and where do they sit in the fitness world?
Sports doctors.
Yeah, so I know we do have a particular branch of medical practitioners. They're called sports doctors. I mean, like everything that everyone's got their place, or every I guess position has their place in the food chain, in the
Hmm.
hierarchy of these things. It's more so you're gonna just run into good and bad of everything,
Yeah.
and it's kind of like I have a good opinion. I haven't really run into bad, like sports doctors, like sports
Hmm.
medical professionals, those that are more specified to well, sport really. They're usually quite more open to listening to reason, especially if you do have a bit of a clue about what you're talking about. So, for like myself, for example, if I get to speak to a sports doctor who I actually happen to have as a client, which is awesome, um, that I can get my referrals for bloods and all that sort of stuff. So it's much easier for me to
Hmm.
have a chat with him and just be like, this is why I want to get this, or this is why I want to look at this, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yep, sweet, makes logical sense. I get it. Referral. Whereas
Yeah.
sometimes you do it with a GP and GP's like, nah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is too, like the it's weird because sports doctors got a really bad rap in Australia due to like obvious what happened in the late 2000s, um, late 2000s or early 2010s. I think it was early 2010s. And you end up with like the Essendon and Sharks debacle. The funny thing to me is though, and this is like the part that was never told in the stories, is that the the banning, if you will, and the legalities revolved around retroactive substance scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
So the compounds used and the things that were used in the prescriptions and stuff that were suggested to improve injuries and improve recoveries, they were actually pretty endorsed for a period there where we're reducing the times of like MCLs and ACLs by months, if not career ending, where it used to be. And then it became like, oh, well, that's technically this, so therefore it's scheduled. Therefore, if we go back through this guy's data, it seemed to show that he was actually encouraging like prohibited substance use, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, like if you change the speed limit of a street that I was on 2 years ago, you can't come and give me a ticket and say, well, it's 50 now and you're doing 60. But in the scenario here, as far as I'm aware, a lot of the stuff that was being talked about at the time was not deemed anything. It was like, oh, we found this little secret, and shut the fuck up if you think that elites aren't going to do anything they can and will to get their hands on to improve or recover better. You're expecting a male aged between 20 and 35 to perform at the world's best level for as long as possible without injuries and then base his entire career and financial future
I
on
was
it
gonna say and get paid.
and get paid.
Yeah.
So they're all going to do what they need to do to get back on the field. If you
Yeah.
think otherwise, you're stupid.
Yeah.
That then led to a retroactive reduction, scheduling of substances.
Mm.
They got hit with a bunch of bans that said, hey, sorry, that's now what this is, and you were using it, so therefore you're all being fined or sued or kicked out or what have you. And there's a bunch of sports doctors that copped a massive slack for it. Yes, there was a bit of a one particular guy, if I remember correctly, who was pretty dodgy, but at the same time, most of the stuffs that were being used, it wasn't so much that there was anything negative. It was just more so at the time it was fine. He found a loophole per se. That loophole then got redacted, and then everyone obviously flipped their lids and was like, "Well, they're all cheats." It's like, yeah, but it's not really cheating. Like it's not cheating. Like you've gone to a sports doctor at the time you trusted who told you to do X, Y, Z, and you did it, and that got you back on the field, or you recovered and got healthy and could play again. Tell me any other bloke isn't going to do that in the position.
I mean, yeah, I don't disagree. Like at all. Like I feel like if people do disagree, I mean, if you
You
do
don't know what's going
disagree,
on.
if you do disagree, message and let me know why.
Yeah, yeah.
we'll,
I'm curious. I'm curious
we'll,
how you would disagree on that.
we will get you on the podcast. Like let us debate. This will be interesting. And by us, I mean Ben debate, and I'll just sit here and eat popcorn.
Prep mind Ben kick in. Fuck off, you're wrong.
Yeah, pretty much. And end of podcast. Goodbye. Pick one to dictate the fitness industry forever.
Oh
James
no.
Smith,
Oh no. I knew it was coming.
Ziz,
Oh no.
or a group of them theys.
Oh
uh,
no. Oh. Why?
uh,
I'm just ending it. I'm just
to
I don't
dictate the fitness industry forever. To dictate it. So this would be interesting because you can take a few different approaches with this. You could do the James Smith because he copies everyone.
That's fair. I was leaning that way. At
Yeah,
least he
like
has Ronald
yeah,
McDonald work there.
like he copies people, so it may not be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Ziz would be a mad hectic party,
Yeah.
like yeah, like you'd be just basically gearing off your head. Like as always, RIP, Ziz, but you'd be having mad parties and getting mad jacked on mad drugs.
Be
Like
muzzing every day in the gym
yeah,
session.
100. It'd literally just
Cardio
be
through
like
the roof, heart rate
it'd
nice
be
and high.
every day of my late teens. Like really, that's what we're looking at. Like mid to late teens. That was yeah.
Dr. Jacqueline, Mr. Hyde, unrecognizable, now I'm in disguise.
Yeah, literally. Like man,
We've all
I'm
seen it.
talking full bum bag. Like
Yeah.
oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah. You're going proper Adidas
like
bum bag. You shoot over the shoulder
not
strap.
even no, it wasn't even Adidas, man. It was Kappa. It was Kappa. K-A
Oh,
double
even better.
P-A. Yeah, 100%, bro. That's how we rolled in the hood. So like I get it. Or a group of them days. Like I mean, I got nothing positive to say about that one. I've got
Yeah,
nothing.
you're just going to
Sorry.
end up with being told that you can't train too aggressively because you're dominating the space with your masculine energy. And
So
at that point, I'm
basically,
just going to walk away and kill myself.
you train. What's that gym that you've got up
Oh,
there? That
Planet Fitness, where you can't
yeah,
make
I
any
can't
noises.
believe you have one of those in Brisbane, man. I'm so
I know.
jealous.
Oh man, it's so weird. I'm
Yeah,
literally never going to go there, but it was
I
like,
want to go. Remember, I was there. I want to go there. I want to go
yeah,
there once. I just want to get in trouble. Like, I just want
yeah,
to do it.
that's fair.
But anyway, yeah. So I mean, out of those, I think the logical person would be to say James Smith, but I think
Mm-hmm.
the ethnic in me is going to go with Ziz. Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah. Just saying. Is Tia Toomey one of Australia's all-time greatest athletes? Yes, we can't really argue that. Look at the results. Ben's like, I don't know who that is.
Yeah, no, that was going to be beat.
Yeah, nah, CrossFit. Australia's best CrossFit athlete. She just wins everything all the time.
Oh, yes.
Crazy
Yep.
weightlifter. I'm pretty sure she's from Queensland. No,
Jacked.
is she from Queensland? I think she's from Queensland. I know Cara is from
Gold
Queensland.
Coast, yeah.
Gold Coast. There you go. So, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Townsville. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So it's very, very, very hard to argue that she isn't, one of Australia's greatest athletes. Like,
I think,
again, if you feel like that she isn't, please DM so we can find out why and we can go through that because her stats would suggest otherwise.
yeah, she is. I think most the only argument would be it's in lesser known sports. Again, not to say that it's not a athleticism as the point. Definitely agreed. Looking at the stats, I guess the argument would be for anyone who doesn't know would be, or for myself until I look at those numbers, is because I didn't know what she does. That would be my only logical devil's advocate position.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's regardless that there's a lot of athletes that we know about around the world that people don't know about. So it's like,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100%.
It doesn't make them not a great athlete.
Yes.
And someone like a Tia Toomey, she crosses into weightlifting. So she's
weightlifting as well. Yeah,
pretty sure she's got some pretty mad weightlifting credentials. Did she go to the Olympics, or am I going crazy?
I'm looking at Commonwealth.
Commonwealth. I knew she went to something. Yeah, so she's a freak weightlifter as well. So yeah, I mean, she's definitely up there with Australia's greatest female athletes. That's for sure. Even Australia's greatest athletes in total. Let's be real, she's up there.
Yeah, one thing I'll always give CrossFit is, as much as I borderline hate it overall, like most of the stuff is just redundant, but as a general athleticism perspective, it's fucking intense. It's like,
oh yeah,
my back simply wouldn't allow me to do it anymore.
Yeah, they develop some monsters.
Yeah. Their performance status is questionable in most cases, but hey, they're tested, so good for you.
Yeah, I have this argument with a lot of CrossFit athletes.
Really?
Yeah, so it's like a lot of them that are in it.
It's like knowing the IFBB and being like, no.
So, well, the funny thing is with CrossFit, I think now, because they use an independent party, or they might do their own intra testing. So it's like I don't think they use WADA or ASADA or whatever. I think CrossFit have their own, and they're apparently really on top of it. And then they list who fails. And they've got a list of everyone that's failed, right? But I just don't know the testing pool. Like, I don't know how they go about their testing. And my argument is always like, well, how often does first get tested? Like, I'm not saying that they don't test. I'm sure they do. It's just, who do they test? Because
it's like outside the top 10 get tested.
Yeah, because it's like,
there's a clear separation.
Yeah, and that's why I always use the Olympics as the benchmark. It's kind of like, how often does, first, second, and third ever really get tested? It's always fourth, fifth, and sixth. So that they can say, we test at the Olympics.
Yeah, it took how long for them to test the Tour de France, and they found out that it was like the top 13 finishes.
Yeah,
14th ends up coming first because the top 13 were all enhanced in some way.
yeah. So like the whole thing about it is, like yeah, you can test, and like that whole thing too was rumor. It was like, oh, so and so is doing this, and it's because they were getting pissed off because they were also doing it and just losing. So
Yeah.
well, I'm just going to dob everyone in. It's like cool, unless there's a
So,
rumor about someone getting, being tested or someone that's doing something and has to be tested because it just looks bad on the organization. Like
yeah.
they only ever test the ones that like no one cares about, and then even if they fucking test positive, you don't hear about it because again, no
Yeah.
one knows them.
Yeah. They'll throw them under the bus and say, "Oh,
Yeah,
we take care of those who cheat," but they just
yeah,
won't do anything about it. They don't say anything
yeah.
about it. It's
Yeah,
on the
well,
wall.
it's like we tested fifth place and they got a 3-year ban, but it's like no one cares because no one knew who came fifth.
Yeah.
Because as always, in the words of Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last.
100% correct. Well, actually, it was dad first.
Well, yeah, and then Ricky Bobby, because then his dad redacted.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. You second, third,
yeah.
Um, yeah, but like again, there's another one of those cases where like retroactive fining and suspensions is dumb. If you actually look at the video and the documentary on how Lance did his blood doping, it's actually fucking smart. It is smart. He increased his aerobic capacity by increasing his red blood cells by giving himself his own blood transfusions. Fucking genius.
Yeah, exactly right. He's a very smart man.
Just play inside the realm, and then all of a sudden, oh no, that's not the realm anymore. Therefore, fine. Well, it was fine at the time. Shut up.
Apparently, I've just been informed Starburst is discontinued in Australia.
What?
Yeah, the iconic Starburst lollies can no longer be found on Australian shelves. Mars Wrigley confirmed the popular fruit-flavored chews were no longer being imported from Europe into the country due to supply chain difficulties and rising cost pressures.
That is disgusting.
Now, this is how we know inflation has hit you as a person.
Name a greater, greater. I don't know the word.
Yeah,
Distress in 2022.
yeah, that's pretty big. Like, I'm just gonna have to take a moment. R.I.P.
Literally.
Hopefully they bring them back. Hopefully they can bring them back.
Pink ones or nothing. Pink ones will get out.
Yeah, pink with a bomb.
You're one of those people who like ate the yellow ones. Like, please unlisten. Unsubscribe to the page.
You only eat the yellow ones when it's like really dark and you pick one out and you don't know what you've picked out and you've already unwrapped it and you're like, fuck it.
It's like when you get a favorites box and you just sort of eat them by the handful and you get like a bounty and you're like,
yeah. It's like if I have to. In that case, when you get the Turkish delight, that's the one I throw it. Just like pivot at whoever's closest to me.
Yeah, that's proper poison in a wrapper.
Yeah. Anyway, that is it for questions.
Beautiful.
Very, very
good rant. Good
attack. Always fun. Hopefully, anything we need to know about coming out? Do we have any more seminars that we need to know about?
Our next one is planning on being around. Well, after the hit with so we did a mindset. So for anyone that is interested, part of our big system that we're trying to build is obviously internal education and systemized education with clients. So we ran our mindset. So the second Tuesday and the last Thursday of every month, we do group calls, group education, group training, group content. So we just did our mindset seminar that was going to be in the course we're putting out with some pretty decent reviews and feedback with a few things to tweak and change and adjust. So, we're looking at potentially doing that as a seminar since it's already made and just look at doing that. As to making any new ones, it probably won't till after prep at this point. Then we'll probably plan one with you to come down, do a working holiday down there, record some shit, get that done, see what we want to put together there. Do a bros affiliated one.
Just do them all. We'll knock out like 5 things. We'll just do
like a big ass 3-hour weekend or something
like weekend. We'll just do like seminars, then we'll go do like eating, we'll go to like all you can eat Japanese, we'll go take you to Okami again. And then we can do a golf one. We'll put you on a golf course again. We'll make you swing away. Just give you the 7-iron.
Some food in my stomach.
Yeah, we'll just give you the 7-iron. We won't give you any other clubs. Yeah, just no other clubs. Just 7-iron. Just be like, here we go. Go nuts. We'll just record it all. We can do like, and then don't need a putter. You got a 7-iron. Just reverse it and pull shot it. You're fine.
Oh, you're on the green. Yeah, it's a putter.
Yeah.
7-iron.
Yeah, 100%. You just reverse it and just pull shot it. You'd be fine. Why not? It'd be fucking hectic.
I actually did find for anyone who's listening, I'm not going to go until after show, but it may be my first feed afterwards. I found an all-you-can-eat Japanese in Brisbane.
Oh yeah, you did too.
So looking forward to that.
What's it? Where is it? What is it? Where?
Sashimi House or something? Sashimi House or something?
Oh, so they have
It's
an all
near.
you
It's
can eat.
near. Looking at the address I was given by someone, one of my clients went there recently. It looks very close to where you were, so we must have walked past it and just not
Oh
realized it was
shit!
all you
All
can
right,
eat Japanese.
sick.
So by the looks of it, it's like everything similar, very similar. Like plates come out, you got all you can eat sushi, a buffet, you've got all you can eat orders. So I'm guessing there's gonna be a lot of food consumed.
Is your show on Gold Coast or in Brisbane? Gold Coast, isn't it?
Nah, Brizzy.
Oh, it is Brisbane.
Yeah. So Brisbane itself actually has nationals and the state show.
Oh, so I can pretty much stay in the same place that I did if it's available.
Pretty much, yeah.
Cool.
Just do a 2-week working holiday. Just come up for 2 weeks. You can just overlook the last 2 weeks.
Why not? Actually, why not? I get some really nice golf in while I'm up there too.
Okay, send it.
I'll actually be training then. So I mean, you'll be dead, but I'll be training.
Well, like I said, I'll be moving and depleting and putting cars back in at some point.
You just be a zombie. It's like, Aaron, I cannot be fucked. Sweet, let's go play some golf, brother.
My spine doesn't want to rotate because I don't have the energy capacity to move. Let's go play.
You can be my caddy. You can just hold my bag and walk and do the steps.
I'm looking forward to the mental game where I remember having this conversation like just to end on a really funny heavy note. The last moments before going to Arnold's last time, and I genuinely just remember sitting there. I think I've already talked about it, but staring at my screen on my phone, just staring at it. And then Dolce just looks at me and he's like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah,
and
you just zoned out.
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't think I want to get on stage. And he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I was like, "Yeah, I just don't think I want to do it." Like, shut the fuck up, get on stage.
It's like you're here, you're tanned up and ready to go. Bro,
yeah,
get on stage. Shut up.
Like, I think I walked past and saw like your hallucis and like the year I competed was the year that Jake Nicolopoulos competed. And I was like, I'm just not there yet. And he's just like, I don't care. Shut the fuck up. He's like, you're doing it. So I'm like, I can't have that. I'm like, I say I can't. I'm definitely gonna have that moment again. We're gonna be like, shut up, get on stage.
Yeah, I'll just call Dalton. Here, Dalton wants to speak to you.
Wait, fuck it.
All right. As always, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Any questions, concerns?
Peace.
Message Ben.
Message Scaffy this time because I'm probably not going to reply at this point.
Yeah, that's fair. Message me. Any topics you want us to talk about, always throw them in the question box on the Wednesday morning when we post them up, or DM one of us to let us know what you want us to rant about.
Hang on.
That is it from us. Have a great weekend if you're listening to this on Saturday. Goodbye.